let's go take a look, guys. So let's talk about this. I would love to hear your opinions. Let's go. Upguy Expo says your next Oshi is waiting. We're excited to announce that Fansly is joining Upguy Gen 5. Come find them in the exhibitor hall and meet some of their incredible talent. So, as you guys know, you can even look here in the description. Fansly is the best 18 plus site to find your next Oshi and so much more. So, this particular thing has drawn a lot of criticism and backlash. So, let's talk about it. Fansly is, of course, a website. Yes, the Vtuber orgy. That's so funny. We were talking about that earlier. So, here's the thing, chat. Fansly is considered by most people as an adult website, right? Now, you don't have to use it for adult content. You can use it for more mild content. Fansly is absolutely open to that. So, let's just get this straight out of like the gate. Fansly is not just for adult content, right? Gotta let you know that. Yes, most people's perspective of it is that it's adult content, and that's fine, right? That's totally okay. However, a lot of people are very concerned about Offkai being at a con where minors are going to be there, right? So I want to go look at some of the rules at Offkai before we dive into this anymore. So Offkai has some rules, whether, dinner rules, etc., right? Things like that. But this is the one I want to read to you. I'm between 13 to 17 years old. Do my parents have to accompany me at the convention or attend the convention? From 13 to 17, minors may attend the convention on their own, with or without their parents, with written permission from your parents or legal guardian in order to attend. Permission is obtained by downloading and printing out the minor consent form, etc., right? So minors can freely walk around this con, right? So we're kind of like, oh, well, you got Fansly, which is an adult-related thing at an event where, minors can walk around. Now, I would like to point out something here. First up, before we dive into this anymore, VTubing is inherently 18 plus anyway. So as a parent, I would never, if I was a parent, I would never want to actually let my child walk around without supervision, especially at a VTuber con. VTuber content is inherently 18 plus anyway, so I think that is just a really bad idea. Really, really bad idea to send your child, anyway, as a minor, to that to begin with, right? So, yeah, and YouTubers like Cottonmouth, etc., are probably going to be featured at it. I would say more than likely, for this particular booth that they're going to have, it's going to go one of two ways. But let's talk about a few things, right? So number one, they're going to be in the exhibitor hall, which means, chat, that they are not going to be in the 18 plus section. They're going to be in the exhibitor hall. You can walk around and freely find this, walk up to this booth, right? It is not hidden behind anything 18 plus. Yes, Tyrese, we're going to get to that. So, let's go look at some of the reactions to this. Fox says, so much pro clutching and virtue signaling. I don't hate Fansly, says Cecilia, or anything, but this is an after dark thing, right? You're not going to have this out and about all day around minors. Probably a smart idea to make that clear in your posts. Ariel says, minors are going to be there. This is a company specializing in adult content. In your announcement or reply to it, wouldn't it be wise to preemptively reassure people that only adults will be allowed into that part of the exhibition hall? Let's see what else. How do sites like that even make enough money to sponsor a whole convention when there's so much free prawn on the internet? Can find it by accident. I mean, Fansly makes a lot of money. This meme right here, somebody makes off kind. It says the stripper-like area. Kind of crazy. So, let me ask you all, before we talk about this anymore, chat, do you find this to be a problem? Yes or no? Yeah, a big fan of Offguy here. These guys suck. They have 1,000 unsaid rules about what's allowed. I think they're talking about their website, right? No. Honestly, not as big of a deal. So some people are kind of, talking about this and that. Let's go look at the quotes as well. Oh my god, they're actually doing IRL meet in F Kingdom. TV Review says there's limited children in these events. You're allowing unattended. What the hell are you doing? This is a very gross decision. Kier says, why is this marketed in the exhibitor hall instead of the after hours Yabai market? When this is also con that allows unaccompanied minors. So let's talk. Let's talk here for a second, guys. How many of you have ever been to a con? Type 1 in the chat if you've ever been to a con. Who's been to a con? A lot of people, right? A lot of people, right? So, let me ask you, have you ever seen adult related content at a con? Type 3 if you've ever seen adult related content at a con. I'm typing both 1 and 3 because I used to go to a shit ton of cons. So, here is what I'm going to tell you, chat, that happens with these types of things, right? Whenever these, they have these questionable, maybe more like adult-related stuff, it's exactly looks like this. I had to go fish for a picture, but luckily Liger Zero had one. This is exactly what they do. They cover it up. They create the thing, they put a big cover or whatever, and that's all you can see. You have to go up to it and show ID to enter that curtained off segmented section. This is normally how it is. It is. This is at every con that I have ever been to, chat. You cannot look or see that information or whatever is behind for the booth. No way that is able to be done without showing your ID to go past the curtain. So let me ask you all, if this is the case, right? If this is the case of what Afkai is doing, do you find that acceptable? Is that okay? Is that okay to you that, you know, minors can walk around as long as it is curtained off and, you know, they check ID? Is that good with you guys? Perfectly fine. On NUGL, you can also argue Patreon specialized in adult content. Sure, absolutely. Yes, most people are going to say yes. And guys, I entirely agree. I do not feel like this is that big of a problem, their announcement, as long as Fanslead does what every other con in America does. Puts up the curtains in ID checks. Guys, this is a very normal thing that you will find at 99.9% of every single con. Yes, sometimes there are really kind of questionable, like, adult-related stuff there, but it's always covered up where minors cannot see anything and is protected. Even the UK too. Thank you for sharing that. Normally, I would say that most of the time with stuff like this, they're put into an 18 plus or like nighttime only type thing. But as long as everything is covered and protected and there's ID checks, I don't see a problem with this, right? That should be absolutely fine. But of course, guys, everybody's losing their mind because they're like, oh my God, you're exposing this and that to minors and oh my God, they're putting prawn in front of your face. Guys, do you realistically actually think the Off Guide is going to put a booth with Fansly and put, you know, naked Vtubers in front of minors' faces? Of course not. And if they did, then absolutely, you can raise hell about it, and I will be there with you. Big trust. I will be there with you if anything is said about that. Anything is done about that, trust me, I will be raising hell. But guys, this is not an issue. As long as Fancy does it in the way that you see here from this picture from Liger, right? You know, Liger says, talking about cons, right? It would be completely covered up. One entrance and one exit. Checking IDs to get into the booth. Term when you enter and leave, so you can just look in the booth. Walls are this high. There's a vendor hall at full mat. So exactly, there's so many issues with you know, putting out content like that into the open, especially even at cons anyway. You can't just freely do that, right? There's always some kind of rules and regulations in place anyway. So I don't know why I don't know why this would, everybody's crying outrage about this when it's very, very well known. If you've ever been to a con, this is already covered up. Guys, I actually just received some information that comes from within Offkai. Not a higher up or anything, but you know, kind of a loose information here. I'm told that In general, yes. This booth
No
will
matter
be...
how you feel about Blue Twitch and whoever is on there, you cannot be careless on stuff like this, cause not being
Absolutely.
careful with this can
Absolutely.
cause chaos, but it could
Yeah, you gotta
damage
be
your
careful.
chances of ever having the con on the convention center again. Either make the con 18 plus or do what was on screen earlier and have a barrier. I truly
Yes, you
hope
gotta have the
Offkai
barrier.
doesn't
You gotta
mess
have the
this up.
barrier.
As much as I have personal issues with the convention itself,
That's fair. That's fair.
I just want to hope for the best.
So we do have a little bit of insider information, guys, coming from with somebody within Offkai that says, in general, yes, though, of course, it will be very safe and not a hazard for those under 18. So directly from, from the horse's mouth, chat. So there you go. I'll see. I did reach out to see if I could get some confirmation from a higher up or anything like that, but I have a soft confirmation. They said it will be protected, right? Anybody under 18 will not see any of that kind of stuff. So that's great confirmation that we just got live. So awesome. So a lot of people are losing their mind over this, though. But some people are just like, hey, like, I get where you're coming from. Have you ever been to a con? This is a very normal thing. As long as it's cut off and none of that is being exposed to minors, it's fine, right? But of course, Kenny Sue says Off Guy genuinely can't go 1 year without a controversy, which is sadly seems to be the case. But looking here at some reactions, Batty says people didn't seem to have a problem with Jast last year. Jast was at Off Guy, guys. They were up front and center. Another 18 plus vendors in the past. Winter makes fancy so different. Yeah. Quick question for anybody that was Off Guy. I'd have to ask A as well. Was Jast covered up? I would imagine it was, right? Yeah, I would imagine Jast in the 18 plus stuff was curtained off. If anybody went the Off Kai remembers, let me know. Of course, also we have the sister Mr. Fister who says, "Okay, I've been in the con game for a while. People are worried about certain things. Let me tell you this: there's an exhibition booth that will keep you PG-13 and will ID check you. There's a panel there. There's a rule that requires people to get special wristbands. You can acquire the ticket area where you can get, if you present valid ID that proves you're 18 plus. Plenty of cons, especially anime conventions, been doing this kind of stuff for decades, which is entirely true. Yeah, I've seen. I was going to say, how do you pronounce it? Baku. Baku. I've seen them do stuff at cons, and they're covered up as well. Were they at Anime Expo or something last year? So anime conventions are doing this kind of stuff for decades, so people need to stop clutching pearls. I mean, I agree here. I think it's a very knee-jerk reaction coming from a lot of people when this is a very normal thing that, there are things put in place, right? Millie says people will be self-reporting in the comments, most likely involved the following, be it the night market. Well, I don't think so, just because it does say that it is exhibitor hall, but maybe that is, right? Or be blocked off and require valid ID to enter, which is probably exactly what's going to happen. Now, I do want to make this clear, chat. I want to make this very, very clear. So listen to my words. If you're listening, type 1. I need you to make sure that after we talk about this, you walk away with this knowledge, okay? As long as, Fancy treats this like every other con where they border stuff, this is not a problem. But if they do not, guys, there will be a problem. There will absolutely be a problem. So I'm going on the assumption that they're going to be going like every other con in the world. But if they don't, then we will have to talk about that separately. So, yeah, there'll be a lot of issues, right? Now, to be fair, too, Ainsley does, have content that's non-adult as well. You know what I mean? They do have that. But because of the public perception of them being adult-related content, I can see why they would want to put those up. You know what I mean? They would definitely want to make sure they do that. But you have people freaking out, right? Like, I'll show you an example here. Comes from Makan Pachi that says, "Listen, I'm fine with VTubers having a fancy account. I'm a mod for somebody. However, I'm not fine with this that they will set up the exhibition hall, which is open to all ages, and not the buy market, which is 18 plus, and it will allow minors between ages 13 17 to attend without an accompanied by parent or guardian." Look, again, I think we're clutching at pearls here, guys. This is not that big of a deal to make out of it yet. Let things happen, right? As long as it's covered up, there's no need to fucking freak out. There's plenty of cons that have allowed minors to walk around and they have this stuff and it's covered up and they never see it. And that's the way it should be, right? Minors should never be exposed to adult content, right? Um, my big question, actually, is why the fuck are we allowing minors to walk around between 13 and 17 without being accompanied, like, by an adult? I think that in itself is kind of the real problem here. Can we talk about that? But nonetheless, as long as everything is covered up and it's blocked off and the minor's not exposed to it, like we've seen from a bajillion cons in the past, this is really not that big of a deal, in my opinion. So let me ask you all, chat, how do you feel about this? What's your thoughts? Exactly, Buck. I'm like, why? Why? Yeah, I mean, it might just be a corpo booth with no mention of adult content. I don't know. I have no idea, Macro. I have no idea, Macro. I mean, like, I guess that's a separate conversation, right? Like, if it's a corporate booth with no mention of adult content, okay, well, good. You're not exposing minors to adult content. But there's also the conversation to be had where Fansly is pretty much considered an adult brand. So perception-wise, that could look kind of bad, right? I think it's fine as long as it's got the same rules as other 18-plus places cornered off. How do you prove to get in? Exactly. Exactly. Because everybody freaks out immediately about this, you know? Everybody just loses their mind, and it's like, guys, chill out. I mean, this is a fair point, right? Listen, the idea about considering content mostly associated with Fansly is adult content, right? So I think this will definitely be something where it's, you know, blocked off, right? But to be fair, there are a lot of VTubers that create fancy content, so it's not out of the scope of realism that Fansly is a sponsor, right? So long as Fansly ain't stupid, it should be fine. Why the fuck are 13-year-olds allowed to go and combat himself? Exactly, exactly. I mean, again, VTubing is inherently 18 plus. Why the fuck are they going into a VTuber related con anyway, you know? Like, I do not think that VTubing is a thing that minors should really be exposed to in general. Hope they update their post and mention a fancy panel at the market. Well, again, this says Exhibitors Hall, so I don't think it's going to be theirs any. It being Offkai, I think they less trust Offkai than anything. One time I went to Offkai is probably the most I've ever been groped by random people. I'm so sorry. What the fuck? I mean, to be fair, yeah, I could look at Offkai's prior history and be like, you know, that's not that great. I don't know. I guess I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt still. Dokumi does this as well, where you have a specific 18 plus area familiarity. Exactly. Did get a special bracelet, etc. Dude, this is something that's been going on, guys, for years and years. I mean, I went to my first anime con back in 2012 with my brother took me, and guys, I can tell you, I remember there was curtained stuff that you can see. So, it's not like it's a new thing, right? But I think that, you know, getting up all in arms about it without, well, number one, information, right? Which we are very lucky we had somebody in Offkai that confirmed that, you know, I'll read you the words again. This comes from somebody within Offkai that says, yes, it will of course be very safe and not a hazard for those under 18. So we have a, you know, loose confirmation. I do want to check with the, you know, the big wigs, right? But I just think that, you know, a knee-jerk reaction to this is like, I guess it's only because, one, you've never been to a con, or two, you just didn't, like, think about it hard enough. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you've been to a con, you're just like, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, it feels very pearl clutching, what? I'm kind of surprised. Like, like Chibi Reviews says, like, saying stuff about it, but I'm like, Chibi, surely you've been to a con, right? Like, yeah, and like Ichiban, that's straight up like a huge no-no in most places. Yeah, like I'm like, GB, if you've not been to a con, or like I'm sure Kirsch has too, I'm like, that's a very normal thing for cons. Like, yeah, they probably should have gone in here and been like, hey, you know, this is gonna be covered, etc., right? That would definitely discourage a lot of the blowback. That would have been really nice to know ahead of time, because I think when you make a post, right, you have to kind of consider how people are going to take it, right? You got to have empathy and understanding for how people will react to it. Well, I could already foresee this a mile away. People are going to lose their shit